Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here today. My name is Luis Alonso, and I am research scientist in the City Science Group at MIT Media Lab. Um, my background, I am an architect. I have been training as an architect, but in the Media Lab, we are a diverse group of people working in an anti-disciplinary way. So that means that even if my background is an architect, I am very used to work with data. And actually also I am working, understanding how human behavior is impacting in cities. So we are trying to work with a diverse group of cities in the group in order to understand how mobility, how the new ways of housing and living are changing society and how are shaping our cities today. So thanks to that, I think it's very important to be today here talking about a new way of mobility that is this, let's say, flying vehicles new approach for mobility. I think that's summing in the top of the idea that we have to change our way of moving and living into the cities. The cities, they used to have the human scale. Okay, during 2000 years, the cities, they used to be made for humans. And we used to have a dense and diverse group of people sharing ideas in a walkable distance. Then with the car, actually, the cities, they reshape and they change in only 100 years from the human scale to the vehicle scale. And then that's why we have these sprawl systems of cities where the ecosystem is sprawl in the environment, and then it's taking like a lot of time to move from one point to the other of the city. We have congestion, we have echo chambers, what we call echo chambers, or ghettos. So people, they don't live anymore in a diverse ecosystem. They live in these divided ecosystems where people are the same, and they speak with people that are the same like them, and they have the same ideas. And now with the social network, we are also like sharing ideas with the same people like us. So we are not diverse anymore, and that is killing innovation in cities. So the definition of the city was like a hub of innovation during 2000 years, and now majors are coming to our group asking, how can I make a innovative city in my with my community? And that's very interesting, because historically cities, they used to be, again, these innovative hubs of people sharing ideas. I think the new ways of mobility, they are coming in order to rethink heavy infrastructure. So in order to support cars, you need heavy infrastructure like highways, speedways, I mean, everything, no? Like bridges. And thanks to these new ways of mobility, like flying vehicles, we can rethink again. We don't need heavy infrastructure anymore. We can move from one point to another just flying. And of course, I mean, this is not that innovative, because we already have helicopters. We have systems like already exist. But the idea is like, what if we can make an expensive system, the same way that Rockefeller and Ford did back almost 100 years ago, and they made this affordable vehicle that everybody could have, but at the same time they help society to buy the car by changing the mentality of people. Okay, so that's the challenge that we are facing today with the new mobility systems. If we don't change the mentality of people, if we don't help them to understand that this is the new opportunity to reshape cities, then it's going to be very difficult for people understanding that there is a huge opportunity on this new inexpensive mobility choice mode that is flying vehicles, and the opportunity of removing heavy infrastructure from our cities and start to looking into the streets again as a as a place for human interaction, because we remove vehicles from the streets. So the whole point here is, how can we help people to understand the huge opportunity that we have here? That's very interesting for us as MIT, because we are always thinking on the future. So when we look into these new technologies, what we think is like, there are two paths. One is like the utopian path, where everybody gets into the idea and we change cities totally, no? And then we are going to have flying cars. the streets are going to be like just for the people walking, sharing, bars, restaurants, terrace. Actually, the city probably is going to be multi-level, multi-layer. We are going to have to deal with a lot of policies, of course, but at the same time, it's going to be a very exciting moment where people are going to spend less time in congestions. Our good friend Felipe and his team is working on understanding how congestion could happen, and they already have numbers about like probably if people moves into flying vehicles, congestion in the sky, let's say, is going to reduce. And so that's a huge opportunity about thinking about vertical cities, vertical commute buildings where maybe you are transferring from the train station to the flying car in a vertical way. We already had that kind of elements in the city back in the 1930s with the Zeppelins. We used to have these huge Zeppelins getting into New York and dogging into the Empire State Building. And the Empire State Building was like this kind of vertical hub of transferring people from one mobility system to another. So that's very exciting for us. The problem is that's the utopian point of view. Then the reality is that flying cars are facing the same challenge than autonomous vehicles. In our group, we are working only with human dynamics and understanding big data in order to understand the impact of people in cities. We are also working with autonomous vehicles. What that means is that and autonomous vehicles in a different way. So because we are looking into micromobility, so we are thinking we have to remove cars from city centers. So the city centers, they became more human scale with people living and walking and working in a walkable distance. And then we need a powerful, of course, mass transportation system, but also a powerful autonomous vehicle system for micromobility. That means autonomous bikes. Flying vehicles, they're going to be also facing the same challenge of autonomy, that is collaboration. All these dreams are not going to happen if we don't have collaboration. That means collaboration between the industry, the academia, the government, and the citizens in order to build the rules, shape the city in a way that we want to have. And that means also like companies sharing ideas, sharing data, sharing work together. That I know that's a goal that this platform, like flying vehicles and Baron vehicles, are providing to the world. Actually, like this frame where different companies, diverse groups of people can share ideas in order to have this diverse, new approach to mobility. So that's something very important. If we don't have the collaboration, what is going to happen is that, of course, this dream is not going to work, at least in the short term. So, but the cool thing is that it's already happening. Probably the something between these two options is exactly where Felipe is working today. Like this idea of if we implement flying vehicles today, it's going to be a fantastic system, for instance, in Latin America for tourism. So it's a new way of bringing tourism into places where you don't have heavy infrastructure. So you can reshape a little bit the idea of tourism. You can reshape a little bit also the idea of people living and working in a walkable distance, but then they can fly to the house without congestion and without heavy infrastructure. So somehow that's the middle point where we also are gonna be thinking about these vehicles moving not only people but also moving goods. Probably that's going to be the first target for this new mobility system. That's already good because we can remove a lot of the load of the roads. Now with people buying in Amazon and other things, most of the traffic in New York is just delivery. So what if we can remove the delivery congestion from the roads, and then we put that in a different level and is flying, and then that can help cities to have a better mobility already today. That's something that we could do today. So for us, it's very exciting, and that's why as a team, the City Science Group, we are very interested on trying to think like, what if we have an innovation hub in Latin America thinking about flying cars, no? What if we have, like a stable collaboration with flying vehicles? That could be with Baron vehicles, sorry. That could be fantastic. And that's what we are trying to do, not only here, but we already have collaborations all over the world in not only Latin America, in Guadalajara, Mexico, but also in Toronto, Canada, in Shanghai, in Taipei, in Hamburg, Germany. We have collaborations all over the world trying to solve the challenge of the future of cities. In Taipei, for instance, we are working about autonomous vehicles. In Andorra, Europe, we are working about tourism and sustainability. In Hamburg, we are working and looking into the impact of refugees into Europe. In Toronto, we are thinking about the challenge of smart cities and big data and banking. In Guadalajara, we are working about understanding informality in informal settlements. So what if in Colombia, we start thinking about this new mobility, these flying vehicles, and what if altogether we can bring society to think this new exciting way of mobility? Because everybody's thinking, I mean, sometimes when I talk with Felipe, he says, listen, Latin America, we have to learn a lot. We are, like a growing continent. But for me, it's exactly like that. We are a growing continent, and we have to rethink, and we have to lead the new ways of mobility. Mobility is a challenge in Latin America, and we have to rethink it together. We don't have to copy, because there are not solutions out there. We have to rethink how it's going to be mobility. And I think this is the perfect moment for leading the new wave of mobility. And that's why we are excited. Let's do it together. Let's work together in a collaboration in this mutualistic way. And I don't know, I am super excited. Let's see next steps. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Adiós. Muchas gracias.